Late nights like these are par for the course for 14-year-old Ruth ever since she was streamed into the Gifted Education Program, or the GEP, 4 years ago. About 1% of each cohort of the student population in Singapore make it into this stream. Some might say the prestige more than make up for the extra workload. And when Anne, Ruth's younger sister, also made it into the GEP last year, it was more than a happy moment for the family. What were your reactions when you found out that your second daughter also made it to GEP?
Actually, it was a real relief. Finally, I could talk normally about everything because we were trying to play it down.
But Jeepers, as GEP students are known, came in for some flack recently. They were criticized for lacking social skills and for being in a world of their own.
I think it shows how important being humble is and how he's humble to his children.
Your daughters must have brought their friends, their Jeeper friends, home. What sort of behavior have you noticed amongst them?
There are certainly instances where I can't tell whether it's because they are too shy or whether they're too proud, right? But they come in, and one of the rules that we have in our house is that we expect a certain level of respect, certain level of decorum, right? So you come in, you call uncle, auntie, which is our sort of Chinese tradition, right? You call uncle, auntie. And some don't. There was one particularly blatant example when Ruth was much younger. They had some project work here, and a boy came in and he sort of took off his shoes right at the door there and just walked in without saying anything. I got so frustrated with him, I said, turn around, get out. Come in again. He came in again, he still didn't greet me.
Okay, this young lady here is going to show me her hobby. What is it?
I'm very interested in snails.
Ooh, look. And why are you interested in snails?
You know, in primary 3 when you're younger, you always like to have disgusting hobbies that will freak people out just for the sake of having the glory of it. So I took up having snails.
Some people may think that this is actually a weird hobby. Do you think so?
Jeeper kids are weird.
Really? Why?
Because most of us, when we are intellectually inclined, our emotional growth is so stunted. At least stunted compared to the emotional growth.
At her school, GEP classrooms are located together and away from the other classrooms. So Ruth says Jeepers stick together because not only have they grown up together, but also because of physical proximity. Is it tough being in the GEP? Do you think people just don't understand?
They don't understand us, we don't understand them. There is jokes about you're in GEP, you're so smart. Don't come and Jeeper talk me.
Would you date someone who is not a Jeeper?
I plan to date someone that's not a Jeeper.
Why?
Jeeper boys are very irritating. And yet again, the best and the worst. The most shy, most angelic are Jeeper boys. And the most most arrogant, most snobbish, most irritating boys are Jeepers.
So you want someone more
Average.
ordinary, more average.
Yeah.
But first, there's a divide between the two groups to overcome. So what do you think of the gifted boys?
They mingle around with their own group alone, and that it's maybe it's partly our fault, as in for express students, because we see ourselves some of us we feel inferior.
Sometimes they have this kind of fake accent, yeah, but once you get to know them,
What's a fake accent?
I don't know, as in they speak in a really different way, yeah, and they kind of use bombastic words sometimes.
After school, all they do is study. Yeah, when they go out together, they study. They talk about school, they talk about teachers, they talk about schoolwork, homework, how to finish this, how to finish that, while us express people, we talk about cooler stuff. Perhaps they lack the social skills to mix with the other people.
So do you think they are geeks, nerds?
On the whole, yes.
So on the not so whole?
Still yes.
Well, bridging these two groups with their opposing views of each other is clearly quite a challenge. And is it just as challenging to face jeepers on a daily basis? I turn to teacher to get some answers.
There are only 3 secondary schools in Singapore that offer the gifted education program, and this is one of them. I'm at Nanyang Girls High School. Today I'll be teaching English to a class of secondary 4 GEP girls.
Class, this is Miss Sir. She would like to be addressed as Diana. Good morning,
Good morning, class. Thank you.
I was all prepared to teach a lesson on TV production, but it seems the girls needed very little hand-holding.
Dealing with a math medium.
Conceptualization.
Conceptualization.
Storyboarding. Finding an angle. Editing.
Editing. You all went to media school, ah? Have you heard of the news cycle? Finally, something that maybe I know that you don't. I had to do my homework. I had to make sure I knew at least what I was talking about. So there was a bit of pressure. So I can only imagine teachers of jeepers, they must feel a lot more pressure because they're facing them every day.
Why do you think he says that? The lesson somehow moved towards the debate that raged in the newspapers about jeepers being elitist, and the girls had lots to say.
Was he the one who called us lepers?
She covered the issue more fairly in a way.
What makes it newsworthy?
I think what impressed me most about the girls is how ready and how quick they were to form their own opinions.
Do you see it as like a way of sending out your own personal feelings?
Whether it was a quote taken out of context.
Also, because he's an editor, he has a duty to the public.
All of the girls are so well-spoken. I can only imagine that if they were to mix with mainstream students, let's say from other schools, they might feel intimidated.
I think some journalist people.
Probably a lot of the responsibility lies in the system, in how to integrate them better.
Another editor. You pick up the top 1% of the whole student population, and you put them in a class and you call them gifted. Naturally, the rest of 99%, there'll be some people who are going to think, who are you to call these people gifted? What makes them different?
When we speak in class, we speak really fluent English, so it comes out sounding that we're trying to sound intelligent or older than we are.
I had an online friend who accused me of being a smart aleck when I pointed out to her that 1984 wasn't a Victoria classic.
Meanwhile, the GEP boys I met in ACS Independent seemed a lot more regular. With them, I decided to spring a little surprise.
Okay, have you been told about the quiz that you're going to be taking today?
No, actually I have no idea. It's a pop quiz. The initial shock of meeting someone from China. That's a good new watch, right?
What does APEC stand for?
Asia Pacific Economic Conference.
It's cooperation.
Quite close there.
Who is Wen Jiabao?
That's a question we'd like to ask you. Who is Wen Jiabao?
Who is this Wen Jiabao?
He's the Chinese premier. Hey, we didn't get Wen Jiabao right as well, huh? The guys fared well below my expectations. I was very worried, like I said, about talking to them because I thought they'd all be news junkies, you know. Who is Manmohan Singh?
That's a good question. Yeah.
India.
Yes, but who is he in India?
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister. It is Prime Minister.
I had to double check. Prime Minister of India, well done, well done. Who is Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono? They're quite relaxed about it all. They don't make a big deal out of the fact that they are in the GEP. They don't make a big deal out of the fact that they are supposed to be smarter than the rest.
The mainstream people, they look at us, they think we're nerdy and stuff like that. They just don't like us. So we have no choice but to stick with each other.
I was dumped by my friends in primary 3 when I got into the GEP. The day after the results was like my birthday, then they came and they threw like my present at me, then they like walked off. It's nice of you. I paid them. Our achievements get downplayed because they think that we are supposed to do well because we're supposedly top 1% in like Singapore. So we should be winning everything we get into.
So what happens when you don't win it all?
then they will just look down on you even more because you can't live up to the expectations that you're supposed to be able to do.
Would you date someone who's not from GEP?
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
There's no logic in it. There's no logic in I'm a cheaper, I must date GEP pupils. It's like saying like I'm a male, I must date male.
Don't go there. Nah, I just think inter-GEP relationships are doomed to failure anyway. Yeah.
It's called eugenics.
You sound like you've tried. Tell me more.
This is getting ahead. I'm not going to say anything.
Expectations to shoulder, dreams to fulfill, stereotypes to defy. These seem to define the life of a whiz kid, which, come to think of it, isn't all that different from the lot faced by their more average peers. Send your feedback and suggestions to getrail@channelnewsasia.com.